All right, guys, welcome to our team call. Super excited to be chatting with you all. I have not had put myself on a call here for a couple months. It's been since January that I was leading one of our Team Forward Fitness webinars, and I kind of selfishly wanted to sneak in here. Nobody invited me. I invited myself to do the team call, but I felt like there's I don't know, just wanted to come in and lay down some thoughts with you guys and some of the things going through my mind that I feel will make a difference for everybody here. So I am going to make sure I have everyone muted completely. And I don't have slides for you guys today, but I do have, if anyone's taking notes, 4 key points. And so if you're taking notes and you want to have it organized, you can know that you're looking for 4 specific things today. So today's call is very inspired by some of the books that I've been reading the last couple of months, and specifically on what I'm working on and the differences that have helped me to get out of my own way. So here's the thing. I believe that we all have limiting beliefs. I believe that we have definitions that we have given that either propel us forward or hold us back. And I feel that in this business, if you're not seeing the success that you want, there's a limiting belief that you have held on to, or a definition that you have given on yourself, or a definition that you've given on other people, or a definition that you've given on this business or life in general that is holding you back. And so I want to address that so you can get out of your own way and stop being the only reason why you're not reaching your goals and fulfilling what you were sent here to do. Now, this book that I read is called Happiness Advantage. And so I'm going to share a couple things from that. But they talk about in there, this guy who wrote it is from Harvard University. And he did so many studies there. And he has shared how psychologists have been able to identify that the 2 most powerful and influential beliefs that influence behavior are, 1, how you define yourself, and 2, knowing or believing that you can improve. So I'm just going to kind of put that into the first section of how are you defining yourself? How do you see yourself? And I'm going to give you guys an assignment here at the end. And that's going to be the first question is, how are you defining yourself? You got into this business. Everyone had these big goals. You had these big dreams. And some of you guys have been doing this for a while. Some of you guys are just getting started. But how has that maybe changed? Everyone needs to still be muted. How has that maybe changed if you missed a goal? What if you see someone else getting recognition and all of a sudden you're thinking, I'm not as high on that leaderboard as I want to be, or so-and-so started at the same time as me and they're at this rank and I'm not. Do I now have less value? Are you defining yourself as connected to a business success? How are you defining yourself? And this is all rhetorical questions I want you guys to be thinking about. I want you to think about, do you feel and know in your heart that you are called to do this for a reason? And I use the word called to do this because it's not just something that you're looking at as this is a hobby or this is a job, but you see this is a calling. This is a calling that I was destined to do, that there's a higher purpose here for me to fulfill. Do you see that there's a way that you have something to offer that no one else can? I want to share with you guys a story that actually was shared with me from another coach. At Super Saturday this last couple months ago, I want to say Caleb Thomas because that's my cousin, but I think that's the Caleb in Beachbody, right? Coach Caleb? It's Thomas as well. Someone nod. But he came and spoke at our Super Saturday, and he shared this story that just really, like, the analogy hit home for me. And he shared how he was up at his cabin with his grandparents, and that, you know, he was spending a couple weeks up there, and his grandfather just loves puzzles, and he's in the corner putting together this puzzle for just hours and hours on end, and his grandma is sitting at the piano playing, and Caleb is with his grandfather, and his grandfather says, "Caleb, have you ever noticed the noobs and the boobs of this piece?" And he's like, "What did you just say?" And he's like, "No, these are the nubs and the boobs of a puzzle piece. Those are the technical terms for it." And Caleb's like, no. And he's like, "You know what's just cool about this is that there's no single piece that is the same. Every single piece has a different picture, has a different boob, has a different nub, or like whatever these terms are. And they're all completely different. But each one fulfills a very specific purpose, and no one piece can be replaced. And every single piece has the opportunity to connect a piece that otherwise could not be connected." And hopefully you guys can see, and it even just gets me emotional thinking about this, how each one of us really truly has a divine purpose in life, in Beachbody, that cannot be fulfilled by anybody else. You know, it doesn't matter how many Lindsay Vantways there are in the world. It doesn't matter how many Bonnie Engels or whoever you look up to, you are needed. And you have that opportunity to connect people to living a more healthy and fulfilling life, and you can help them in that way and connect to them, and nobody else can connect to them. And I will say, I sincerely am heartbroken when I get an email from that there's a coach cancellation. And not because I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this means so-and-so is dropping rank, or this is going to affect my rank. It's because I'm sitting there thinking of all of the people who are not going to get a chance. And like all the people who are now not going to be inspired and to be like connected to their chance to live a healthier, more fulfilling life, because the person that they were going to connect to now gave up on their dreams. And I just see that what we're doing is far more and far bigger than just advancing to a diamond rank or hitting a Success Club point. It's like, go back to that mission statement of Beachbody, that we're here to help people live healthier, more fulfilling lives. And think about that and what that really means, and realize that you're going to help somebody that nobody else can. And isn't that freaking exciting to think about, and exciting to realize that you're going to have an experience that is so unique for you that nobody else is going to have. That you've been prepared for this. That your life experiences have brought you to this point where now you get to connect with people and share and inspire people that nobody else can. And you can't be duplicated. There's no one else who can take your place and fill that gap if you give up on this, if you give up on your dream. Nobody else is going to be able to fulfill the purpose that you could fulfill. So I hope everyone, when you're thinking of how do I define yourself, you keep that in mind. That you think it's not just this, I'm defining myself as like, you know, I have more worth because I'm this rank, or I have less worth because I'm this rank, or I have more worth because I'm this income or that. Like, that's not at all what defines you. That's not who you are. Those are your experiences that you've had. But you don't have more worth or less worth based on hitting diamond or losing diamond or whatever. Like, my worth as a person did not increase when my income went up. I am not a better person. I'm not like, well, I hope I'm a better person because I'm growing and progressing, but I'm saying that is not connected to my worth. And I will tell you guys from a sincere place that this is something that I struggled with for the first 2 years, because I came into this business with a lot of self-confidence issues and a lot of history of depression and low self-esteem. And so I did very much, if I'm being completely honest with you guys in a heart-to-heart conversation, I can see that very much I connected my self-worth to rank and to success in this business. And it was really, really hard for me saying it's unstable. I hope you guys, if someone can type and let me know that you can still hear me. Or if I'm frozen, everyone else is frozen right now. So I want to make sure I'm not talking if you guys can't hear me. Can someone type below real quick before I go too much? Let me know if you can hear me. Yes, okay. Sorry, it lets me know that there's an unstable connection, so I don't want to keep on going and have everyone missing what I'm saying here. Now, I will tell you, like, as I was saying, I connected, I felt like, because I came into this feeling like I had a lot to prove. I had a lot to prove to my family that I'm not a complete failure. You know, I'm the only kid in my family who's dropped out of college. I'm the only kid in my family who doesn't have a college degree. And so I felt like I had a lot to prove to my parents and to myself and to society and to all these people who grew up with me, and to prove, like, I felt like I had to prove something. And I made a Facebook post about this the other day, but I am so grateful for the personal development that we do. And I'm so grateful for that environment of growth, because by no other means, if I had not done Beachbody, I never would have gotten to a place where I had been at these seminars that I went to learn who I really truly am, and be able to see and define myself in a way that's not reflected on Beachbody ranks or income or anything like that, and realize I don't have anything to prove, but my worth is such that I have something to give that nobody else can. And that's what I'm getting at here. But it's a good thing if, I think this business has a magical way, I've said this so many times, but it has a magical way of surfacing your limiting beliefs in a way that nothing else can. And so, if you're ever struggling with the business, or you're ever struggling with you're sitting there thinking oh, I don't like Success Club. Success Club really bugs me. Well, let me tell you something. There's nothing wrong with Success Club. There's nothing wrong with any of that. What you're coming across is some sort of limiting belief that's being surfaced through this experience of setting a goal for a Success Club. And you get to face that limiting belief and deal with it and work through it, right? So if you're I just don't really like rank because it makes me feel like I'm a worthless person when I don't hit rank, be okay, awesome. There's nothing wrong with rank. You get to now work on this limiting belief that you have, that your worth is defined by these certain things, because, it's not coming from Beachbody, it's coming from your limiting belief. So anyways, how you define yourself. Now, with that, I love, and I always go back to this concept from John C. Maxwell, where you have to see value in yourself to add value to yourself. That all the time is something that I can see over and over again in certain coaches, as either what's holding them back or what's helping move them forward. Because some coaches come into this with feeling like I'm a worthless person, I have nothing of value to add. And so, of course, they're not going to do personal development. Of course, they're not going to be being consistent with their workouts, because you have to be right. Your ego mind has to be right. So whatever thoughts you are circulating and entertaining in your mind, you're going to manifest as reality. Because whatever excuses you argue for, you get to keep them. So if your excuse is I always fail, I don't follow through on anything that I do, then that's your excuse, that's your argument. You're telling me you're arguing for that fact. And so congratulations, you get to keep that argument. That's your now reality. And so I just want to challenge this. Like, how are you defining yourself? And is that reality? Like, is that the truth? Or could it possibly be a story that you've been telling yourself that now you can question and find the truth and live the truth? And that goes into the second belief that the happiness advantage was sharing as the most powerful belief, that having a belief and knowledge that you can improve. Do you know with like every fiber of your being that you can get better? You know, do you start P90X and you're sitting there thinking, there's no way in hell I'm actually going to do this program? Because like, if that's what you're thinking, you're not going to, right? You argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. Or do you know deep down that you have the ability to change? In this book, he argues the fact that happiness is the belief that you can change. You know, so you knowing like anybody can change, anybody like can do this. And I have to say that I think that that's why we are all so drawn to Beachbody. I mean, you look at those before and after photos, and it is so inspiring. It is so inspiring to look at those because we all can see ourselves in that before photo. We look at that before photo and there's different people and someone that you saw, you connect with, and you're like, I can see myself in her. Like she looks kind of like me, or there's something about her story that I can relate to, and I can see myself in her, and she changed. And that inspires in me the potential and the opportunity and the possibility that maybe I can change too. Guys, that is your spirit, your soul, like reaching out to you, like telling you, yes, you can change. Yes, this is what you're capable of. Like you have that potential too. You all were drawn to this business for a reason, because your spirit wanted you to know you can improve. You have something to offer that no one else can. You have a way to connect with people that nobody else can connect with them. You have a reason and a purpose for being here. And so you can't just sit there and say, well, I didn't hit my rank, or I didn't hit Success Club, and so I'm a failure, and there's no hope for me, because how many goals have I set for myself that I have missed? I'm sorry. Like, is that why that's not why you're here, okay? You're here because you're going to connect with people no one else can. You have value. You have something to offer that nobody else can. And because your spirit knows that you are meant to continue growing. And Beachbody is like the fast track to growth. And that's going to make you uncomfortable, and it's going to be awesome because it's uncomfortable. Okay, first part. That's the whole first part of how are you defining yourself. Now I want it to jump into how are you defining this job? And I use that word job, but I mean with all of this, because are you defining it as a job? Are you looking at this as a career? Or are you looking at this as a calling? You know, how are you wording this? How do you see it in yourself? How do you define what you're doing? I think that influences your passion. I think that influences your excitement to get out of bed and to do this. I think that influences your recruiting and how you're talking to other people about this, and about how many people are actually drawn to you. You know, how many people want to do what you're doing. Because if you're sitting there thinking, okay, I'm defining this job. This is a job. And it's like something that you have to work really, really hard, and you have to be super careful because it's going to take over your life. And it's just like a lot of hard work. And it's a job, but guys, like, it's a good thing. It's a really good job. Like, I'm sorry, but who's inspired by that? Like, nobody's inspired by that because of how you're wording it. Like, and how you're wording it is now defining your reality, and like, it sucks. So of course you're not inspired. Of course you're not like advancing rank and hitting Success Club and doing all of those like technical things, because your attitude about it sucks. Like, nobody's inspired by that. Even if you're looking at this as a career, okay, well, maybe you're like excited somewhat about it, but you're still not being driven by a passion. Like, or are you looking at this as like, the end of like, this is a calling. This is like something that I was called to do for a very high purpose that I get to see a glimpse of here and there. But it's exciting and it's something I can be passionate about because I know I was called to do this. And you know what? Maybe not everyone's going to feel that way. But I'm going to argue that it's not the job, it's not the career, it's not the calling, it's not like the actual task of what you're doing. It's your mindset about it. It's your belief about it. Studies have shown, like they've done, so like in the Happiness Advantage, they talked about this study that was done on how people were interviewed, and there are doctors who view what they do as a job, and there are janitors who view what they do as a calling. So some doctors look at what they do and they're like, I work from this time and this time, and it takes me away from my family, and this is like, it's a job. And then there are people who are janitors looking at this and saying, I am creating a clean environment and the best environment so that the future generations of leaders can grow and learn. Like, and that's what someone who is looking at that as a calling and working as a janitor is defining it. And you better believe that he's looking at that and has passion about it and has freaking excitement and thinking, I can't wait to create the best environment for these kids to show up every single day and to learn and to grow. And I'm going to create the best environment possible so that they can focus on what they're doing. And they're excited about that. But I can guarantee if that janitor comes to school each morning and is sitting there thinking, I'm just cleaning up other people's messes. Like, how many of those janitors are going to recruit other janitors to come join them? Be like, let's go clean up people's messes. Come join me. It's going to be awesome. Like, I remember one of my coaches reaching out to me, and she was a like Star Diamond coach. And she's saying like, you know what? I'm just getting really tired of being everybody's punching bag and coming in here and just like, I have to sit there and uplift everybody every day after day. And I'm just getting sick of it. And I'm like, boy, that's sure not how I define what I'm doing. I don't see it that way at all. And lo and behold, it should be as no surprise that she's not doing this business anymore. She quit. Because that's how she saw this business. That's how she saw this, is that she was here and had to work day after day, just uplifting other people and like being the dumping ground for everyone to share their problems with her. Like, that's not how I see it. I wanted to go back, and I pulled this up because I remember sharing with one of my mentors, and it says my internet is unstable again. So someone can write a message again letting me know that you can hear me before I continue on too much. Okay, thank you. But I went back in my message thread and I pulled this up from my mentor. And this is something that I wrote out. And I was sharing with him why I'm a coach and what my passion is for this. Okay, so just back, and I'm just going to read the message, I guess. But he asked us, like, what is your unique ability in this business? That, like, he worded it as your hedgehog. A hedgehog has a unique ability to curl up in a ball and protect itself. And because of that one unique ability, it is successful in living, successful in what it does. And he says we all have something about us that is unique, and a unique opportunity or a unique skill that if we can identify and fine tune and stay focused on that unique skill, it will lead us to success. And part of this, and so I was sharing with him like what I feel my hedgehog is, like what is my unique skill and ability. And so I said, I have been blessed with an ability to really see other people's potential and divine nature and help them see it as well. It's not something I feel I was born with. In fact, I grew up very cynical and negative, both about myself and the world around me. I'm not going to read this. I'm going to put it in my own words. I grew up very cynical and negative. If any of you guys know my story, I was depressed, and I remember being in the grocery stores and looking around at everybody and feeling like everybody must just be a fraud. Like, who in here is actually really a good person? I felt like everybody was like, I looked at people as liars. And I looked at people as like just not being real. And I viewed the world very negatively. And then I had this experience before I started Beachbody. And I'm so grateful for this experience. But basically, it was a spiritual experience where I finally really wanted to know, like, for myself, how God viewed me, instead of being so fearful of God and feeling like I must just such a bad person and there's something wrong with me. And I just really wanted to know, for once and for all, like with sincere heart, like, God, how do you see me? And that experience right there completely changed me at my core, where I finally really actually saw myself as God did. But in that experience, I also saw the world as God saw them. And I know it probably sounds weird or whatever, but everything's changed since then. And I feel like since then, I've been able to see another person's potential. And that's my hedgehog. And that's what gets me freaking excited in this business. Because I'll have someone join my challenge group and I'm like emotional thinking about, I'm so excited for this person to completely change their life. Because I remember when I started Beachbody, I remember when I started P90X, and I had been running and doing so many things and nothing was working. And now this person gets their chance. Now this person gets to have that same experience I did, and I'm so excited for them because I know this is going to change their life. And it's going to change how they are in their marriage, and it's going to change how they are with their friends. And now I'm going to help create someone who is confident. And how is that going to change the world because of this one now person who knows that they can do amazing things and they're so confident in themselves. And I get that chance. I'm freaking excited about that. And I'm excited about my coaches who come in because I don't see them as where they are right now. I see my coaches for who they can be. And I hear them share their goals with me. And I'm emotional thinking of Valerie, one of my coaches, Valerie, shared with me how she wants to have this beach house in Maine and be there in the summers. And all I can think about now when she's I have to go off to work and she doesn't get this time with her family. I'm I can't wait until you're there because I know you're going to get there. I know that one day she's going to be on that beach house in Maine, just like I knew when Missy Reaver got on the phone with me and told me when she was living in this little condo in Provo, Utah, and told me she wanted to have acres and acres of a farm in Oregon. I'm yeah, I can't wait till you're posting pictures of your farm and your acreage on Facebook. And I knew it, and she did it. Just like I know Valerie's going to do it, and I know all these other coaches on my team who shared their potential and their goals with me. I know they're going to do it. And I can see that. I can see that potential, and that's my hedgehog. And that's what gets me freaking passionate about this, because I see my job as helping people see their potential. People seeing their potential and having the confidence and knowing they can do it. That's what I see my purpose here as. That's what I see this is all about. I'm not super passionate about chicken and broccoli. I'm not super passionate about Tony Horton and Chalene Johnson. I really like working out now, and I really know that I feel so much better when I eat healthy, but it's not something that I'm yes, let's wake up and inspire everyone to eat broccoli. I can't wait. That's not, I'm sorry, maybe other people are super passionate about asparagus and I don't know, whatever, sunflower seeds. They're super excited about nutrition and passionate about it. I'm not. I am super passionate about letting people move past their limiting beliefs, because I know what it's like to live under that curtain of limiting beliefs and how you see yourself, and how when that changes, everything changes. That I am passionate about, and that I get excited about. And so I am freaking excited when someone advances to diamond, because I know they're on that path and I know they're on that journey. I'm not excited because they got to a rank. I'm excited because I know what that means and I know that they're closer to their goals. But do you guys see there's a difference there? Hearing me share how I view this business and how I see it and how what I see my calling as, is it any wonder why I'm still doing this 4 years later? Why I'm so passionate about this? And in comparison with this other coach who I will tell you guys was earning $1,000 a week, like multi-star diamond coach, and she's not even coaching anymore. But because she defined it as, I'm here to pick up other people's messes and to be a punching bag and a dumping ground, and I'm tired of it. You know what? If I viewed it that way too, I'd be done. I wouldn't want to do it either. But is it the tasks that we're doing that's different, or is it our mindset about it? It's our mindset. Because I was doing the same thing she was doing. There was nothing different there. If you're not liking this, your attitude sucks. Like, I'm just going to put it bluntly, you're focusing on the wrong thing. You're approaching this from the wrong mindset, because Beachbody is freaking awesome. And what we're doing is very significant. And if you're missing it. You're missing it if you can't see that. Like, there's something in your mindset that gets to change. But the good news is, coming back to the first part, people can change. You get to see yourself highly, and you get to know that you have the potential to grow. You have the potential to change, okay? I want to move to section 3 of this call. How are you defining the people you work with? How are you defining yourself, right? How are you defining Beachbody? And how are you defining the people you work with? Now, there's an interesting study that was done where some researchers came into this elementary school and they tested all the kids, and then they took a couple kids that they just, and they told the teacher, okay, Sally, Adam, and Mindy, and Jennifer here are gifted. They're geniuses. They're testing off the charts. And they told the teacher, you cannot treat them any differently though. And we're going to be monitoring you. And if we catch that you're treating them any differently, you'll be fired. So we just want you to know that these children are gifted, but you can't do anything differently. And they came back at the end of the year and tested all these kids again. And those, that handful of children that they had said were gifted were, testing off the charts and had improved drastically and were testing at this genius level. And you'd sit there and think, okay, well, duh, like, that's obvious because they tested that way and this way. Well, the caveat there is that they had tested all the children at the beginning of the year and randomly selected a few children who were completely average. In every way, like, perfectly just average, nothing different about them. And just randomly picked a couple kids and told the teachers. Now, those teachers were monitored and said, you can't treat them any differently, right? And yet, somehow, those nonverbal beliefs were expressed to those children from the teacher. Somehow, those teachers still viewed those children differently, and it came across in their behavior and the way they treated them and their actions. Somehow, in this nonverbal clues, they gave across that mindset that you have amazing potential. You are smart. You are gifted. And what's interesting about that is those students picked up on it and fulfilled that prophecy. Guys, I share this story with you guys because how are you viewing the people you're working with? Like, how are you viewing your challengers? How are you viewing your coaches who sign up with you? Are you looking at them all as a disappointment? Are you looking at them all as like, well, I'm kind of jaded because I invested all this time with this coach and then they quit, and I invested all this time with this challenger and then they just like signed up as a coach with somebody else. And so now I've just learned I really have to protect my energy and I really have to protect my time until someone proves it differently. And so until someone comes along and proves to me that they deserve my time, this is how I'm going to treat everybody. Guys, is that really going to work for you? No. You can't have that mindset. You can't have that attitude with your coaches or with your challengers, because it comes across. Like if I were to come to you and say, guess what? You have someone that you personally sponsored who's going to be in the top 10. Like, wouldn't that like be freaking exciting for you? And you'd be like, really? Like who? Well, you've got to find out who that is. Like, because guess what you do? You all have someone that you have sponsored who has that potential. And you get to see that potential in them. You get to see the potential in your challengers and know like this person could be walking across stage for their transformation and winning the Beachbody Challenge. Or like, I can't wait until this person like shares their before and after photos. And like, I see that they have that potential to have incredible results in this. And I am so excited to hold them accountable to it and hold them accountable to that potential I see in them. And I'm so excited for this person to be, earning a significant income and to out-earn me and to be a higher rank than me. Like, I know this person has the potential to blow this out of the park. Guys, if you can see that potential in other people, it is going to come across. And your coaches can tell. Your coaches can tell right now how you see them and how you view them. Now, it is one of those things that, like, everybody's human, me included. Like, even though I feel I have the ability to see that, I too still get caught up in the like, okay, but you're acting in this way. And so how do I like define like how much time I give people based on their actions, And so I get that there's a happy medium. I get that you can't like focus on someone's potential and treat them like, that's how they're performing when that's not where they're at right now. And so, yes, you can still say, I see you as this way. This is what your potential is. You let me know when you're on the path there. When you're moving closer to that potential, like I'm going to run with you. Because you can't drag anyone. You can't carry anyone. But my purpose and the intention of what I'm sharing right now is that you have to know that they can get there. You have to know that they have that potential. And that's your job. Your job isn't to focus on like, well, this is what they're doing or this is what they're not doing. But you have to stay always in your mind and fight that human urge to see people for where they are right now and see them for who they can become. That's your job as a sponsor. That's your job as someone who is like join your challenge group. Like that's your obligation. That's what they deserve. And if you do that, you're going to have more and more people who are empowered to take the action steps towards that. But if all you're doing is focusing on who they are right now, that's all they'll ever be. And that's they're never going to change. So they at least have the potential if you can see that potential. Another part of that, just another quick story, is how they talked about a tax editor and how this tax editor is like primed to go through documents and find all of the flaws in these documents and find all the errors. And they were sharing how because of that, like these tax editors are primed to focus on the negative. And he shared a story of how one tax editor had made an entire Excel sheet of all of the things that his wife had done wrong. And he brought it home to like discuss this with his wife in hopes of making their marriage better. And it's like, okay, well, obviously that didn't go very well. And another story that was shared is just how we are primed, like they talk about it as the Tetris effect, and how when someone is spending hours and hours playing Tetris, they start seeing shapes like falling in their mind from the sky, or they'll be like running down the street and they can see a brick wall and they can see how there's like, a shape of darker bricks that needs to be flipped in a certain order so then it can fall into the line with the lighter bricks and make a complete line. Or they see cereal boxes in the grocery store and see how a certain line of, Honey Nut Cheerios can fit into the line with the Captain Crunch to make a complete line across. And the point being of like, when you are focused on something so much, you see it everywhere. And so my challenge to you guys is to change where your focus is. Like change on where, like what you're priming your mind with. Because if you're focused on, like, for my own survival, I have to find the flaws in everything, then you're going to continue doing that in this business. And I just, like, that's one of the reasons why we say, like, personal development is so huge, because it's going to flood your mind with, like, the good things and with the reality and with the Tetris, right? So then you see the Tetris everywhere. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, I don't know how to see the potential in other people, I don't know how to, like, focus on the good, you have that ability. You have that ability. Everybody does. Because everyone is probably, I don't know if everyone, but I've spent hours playing Tetris and I had Tetris dreams. So that's proof that if you immerse yourself in a certain way of thinking and seeing things a certain way, you're going to see things that way everywhere. So you've got to immerse yourself in that personal development. You've got to immerse yourself with people who are positive thinkers. Like if you're in a conversation with your coach friends or your success partners and they're complaining all the time, or they're sitting there like whining about like their spouses and talking about all the flaws that they have, find new friends. Like, get in a different circle. Don't be that person who's bringing everybody down, because you are priming yourself with a negative Tetris program that you don't want to have. And so in this business, it's like you're seeing things through a filter. So be very careful what filter you're like allowing yourself to have, and see it for the reality, see it for the truth. Because I can tell you guys, there are coaches who are killing it in this business right now. Coaches who are hitting Success Club 20 plus, month after month after month. More and more coaches are advancing rank right now than ever before. More and more coaches are at like Superstar Diamond than ever before. The volume in this network is higher than it's ever been before, and I can prove it. Like, we just saw the numbers yesterday for what the Star Diamond quarterly bonuses are, and I was really curious. And so I pulled it open, and you can see what the entire company volume is. And because then it takes the volume, or like the money, it's the money. And then they divide it up in 0.5% for each section for the Star Diamond Bonus League quarters. And I'm not going to get into that if you don't understand how that works. Just follow the principle here. That I could see how much money there was for this company. And then I went back to these other quarters for the last like 2 years, because I've been getting these bonuses for the last 2 years. And went back and looked at the volume and the income, and how many coaches were 10-star, how many coaches were 15-star the previous quarter, and the quarter before that. And I went back for the last 2 years. And there has never been more Superstar Diamond coaches than there are now. And there has never been a higher income being brought into this company than there is now, and more volume than there is now. There is nothing wrong with right now. There's nothing wrong with summertime. There's nothing wrong with this company and with this business. People are blowing it out of the water. But if you're not blowing it out of the water, that's a big fat sign of, okay, there's a story that I'm programming in myself here that's not reality. I get to change the programming. I get to change which Tetris game I'm playing and I'm feeding and I'm entertaining in my mind. And I get to change how I'm defining myself. I get to change how I'm defining my potential. I get to change how I'm defining what I'm doing here. And maybe I get to change how I'm defining other people's potential. Because the reality is this. And there are people proving that reality to be true. And you can too. So I just wanted to share these thoughts with you guys and give you guys a little assignment here. I want you guys to think of these 4 questions. How are you defining yourself? Like, write that down. I would love people are posting in the group and sharing this. How are you defining yourself? How are you defining your potential? Like, what is your potential in the business, but in life? Define what you're doing. Like, define what your job is here at Beachbody. Like, what is it that you're doing? And I want you to define people's potential around you. So think about your challengers in your challenge group. Think about the people who are on your coaching team and think about their potential. And I would love to have you guys like posting in the group and sharing this below. I can see, like, looking at my notes, there's like all these stories and a couple like main points that I failed to mention with you guys, but I think the point comes across in what I did share. But I just want to tell you guys, like, you have all of the potential in the world and there's nothing that you can't do. But I encourage you to like upgrade your way of thinking to be in alignment with truth. Otherwise, you're going to just create this self-fulfilling prophecy. And, you know, you argue for those limitations, you argue for that limiting belief, and you get to keep it. And that becomes your reality. But it doesn't have to be that way. Things can be different. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and for getting on this call. I will post a recording in the team page. And I really would love to hear people sharing their responses to those 4 questions. Thank you all for tuning into this call. Hope you have a great day.